Welcome to part 20 of this series, trying to locate the sons of Noah and where they really went to. In this video we're going to be looking at Tubal and Meshech, and we're going to try to study them at the same time because we see in the Bible, in Ezekiel it says, "There is Meshech, Tubal, and all their multitude." In another famous verse it says, "Son of man, set your face towards Gog, of the land of Magog, the prince of Rosh, Meshech, and Tubal, and prophesy against him." So we can see Tubal being connected with Meshech. So maybe we can find them potentially living in close proximity with each other. Let's see what we can find out. Now, in the book of Jubilees it says, "And for Tubal there came forth the fourth portion, in the midst of the tongue which approaches towards the border of the portion of Lud, to the second tongue, to the region beyond the second tongue, unto the third tongue." Let's see what they say about these tongues, because they say it may be connected to Thrace, Greece, and Italy. So what we might be looking at with these tongues is this land that projects into the Mediterranean Sea. But I think a better fit might be Greece, Italy, and Spain as the tongues. But it mentions the territory of Lud, and in the series of Shem we spoke about the land of Lud potentially being here in North Africa. And now we're seeing this connection between sons of Japheth and the land of Lud. So I think this second tongue could be speaking about Italy, and we see how it kind of comes towards North Africa. So we just look at that again, that it's speaking about Tubal and the second tongue, but also beyond the second tongue unto the third tongue. So what I think it's saying is that we could find potentially Tubal living in this region from Italy into Spain as well. Let's see what it says about Meshech. It says, "And from Meshech came forth the sixth portion, all the region beyond the third tongue, till it approacheth the east of Kadir." Let's see what they say about Kadir. Now they're connecting that with Cadiz. Let me show you where the land of Cadiz is. So here we can see it in southern Spain. So what we could be looking at is the land of Meshech to the east of Cadiz, and it's in the third tongue, which could be speaking of Spain. So just a small recap for that potentially Tubal from Italy going into Spain, and the land of Meshech to the east of Cadiz, so this region of Spain here. So let's see what we can find to try support this, and we're going to look at what Japheth says in the book of his Antiquity of the Jews. It says, "Tubal founded the Tubalites, who are now called Iberes." So it's fascinating that Japheth is connecting Tubal to Iberes and Iberians, and I want to show you this picture of this is the Iberian Peninsula, so it's highlighting Portugal and Spain. So this is known as the Iberian Peninsula. So this region may have been connected with Iberians and potentially Iberes. And you see how that supports what we've been looking at so far, that we're looking potentially for Tubal in this region, and Josephus is connecting descendants of Tubal with Iberes or Iberians, and this is known as the Iberian Peninsula. So that would fit those details. And then he says Meshech, this is his way of saying Meshech, they are now Cappadocians. So Josephus is connecting Meshech to the land of Cappadocia and the Cappadocians, and we're going to speak quite a bit about Cappadocia in this video. So let's look at well, let me first just show you where this region of Cappadocia is, so you've got an idea as we go through this video. I've got it here. So this is where we're told Cappadocia is, in this region of Turkey, Turkey. So if we're looking for the land of Cappadocia, we come here because this is where the scholars and the consensus says this kingdom was. But let's just see what happens in this video if this picture might change a bit. Now we're going to look at this kingdom on the record. It's called Tubal. So this is a kingdom on the record, historical record, and it's potentially connected to the biblical Tubal. And it says it was a Neo-Hittite kingdom. So after the collapse of the Hittite Empire, this kingdom of Tubal emerged as like its own independent kingdom. So it's very interesting how it's connected with the Hittites and being a Neo-Hittite kingdom. And this potentially is very important for our study, because if we can find and prove that maybe this kingdom of Tubal was here, then we can see that potentially the Hittites ruling over this region. And we've been speaking a lot about the Hittites. Remember how we spoke about potentially the connection with the Thracians and the Getae and Hittite tribes in Germania. Can you see how this starts to support that idea? Because if the Hittites were ruling over this territory, then there could have been Hittite tribes further north into Germania. And it just shows you how the picture starts to change, because we, in our video of the Hittites, we were told to look in this region here for the realm of the Hittites, the kingdom of the Hittites. But the information is starting to lead us potentially to looking at Hittites in this area, far west towards Spain and France. So very amazing. But let's continue to see what it says. Now, it says here that Tubal was likely an exonym applied by Assyrians to Cappadocia. So there's a connection with Tubal and Cappadocia, and we're going to speak about that soon. But before we do, I just want to speak about this. It says that Tubal may have later consolidated into a single kingdom, perhaps annexing or being annexed by the neighboring kingdom of Melid. Now, I wasn't able to find a Melid with this spelling, but I did find Melida, and there's quite a few options for Melida in Spain. So this could support this, because we're looking for Tubal potentially in this kingdom of Tubal that's on the record in this region, and it says that a neighboring kingdom was called Melid, and we do have quite a few options of Melida in Spain. So that's interesting that we do potentially have those options. And then it also says here that there's lots of very fascinating things on this page. It says, during the reign of Sargon II, Tubal entered in an alliance with the Mushki. So could this Mushki be connected to Meshech? And then what we have here is Tubal entering in an alliance with Meshech. Isn't that amazing when you think about the Bible, how it described Meshech and Tubal together in these examples, that they may be in an alliance or in close proximity. And now maybe we see on the historical record Tubal entering an alliance with the Mushki. Could this be Meshech? So we're going to look at that just now. And they're saying that they may have done this to counter Assyria, because the Assyrian Empire was rising and becoming very powerful, potentially even coming into the realm of Tubal and Meshech. So this combination to try hold off Assyria. But it does say here toward the end of the 8th century BC, Tubal was at least partially conquered by Assyria. So it's very amazing, because the picture really starts to change when you think about what we're looking at, because if Tubal and Meshech are in this territory, then what that's saying is that Assyria was conquering parts of Tubal. Can you see how different and how this changes, how important this is? Because if I show you, I just want to see if I've got a map of Assyria. Yeah. So this is what we're told the Assyrian Empire was at its greatest extent. But can you see how it doesn't come further west than Egypt? And this is what we've been presented with as like a consensus, the scholars and the historians. But now with these details, and potentially Tubal and Meshech in this region, we could be finding evidence for Assyrians invading and conquering lands in Spain. So that's very far west, further west from Egypt. So it's very amazing how, when you're looking in the study, how we have to rethink these empires and where were these people and where did these events happen. It's I think we're starting to find more and more evidence to see that we may be on the right track. We might not get everything right, but we don't seem to be far off the mark with the study that we're doing. And the more we look at these sons of Noah and these descendants of Japheth, it's starting to support the work that we're doing so far. But I just wanted to show you that. Now, another interesting thing here, it says that some of it attempted to link Tubal to the tribe of the Tibareni. And we're just going to follow these details to see where it takes us. Because it says here, Tibareni occupied the country between the Calibes and the Mosinoechi. Now we're just going to follow this and see who these Calibes was, because this is very fascinating. It connects these Calibes with Chaldoi and Chaldea. It does go on to say that this is unrelated to the Chaldeans, but to me that seems very similar to Chaldeans, Chaldoi and Chaldea. But this is connected with Cappadocia. Now there's something very intriguing in the Book of Jubilees, because it describes the land of Arphaxad here, but it gives this extra little detail where it says, and the islands of Kamatsuri came out by lot for the sons of Arphaxad. And some scholars have linked this Kamatsuri to Cappadocia. I'm not going to speak about that in this video, but what this is saying is that we could find descendants of Arphaxad living in the region of Cappadocia. And we know that the Chaldeans come out of Arphaxad. And here we see on the record, potentially Chaldoi living in the region of Cappadocia. So isn't that amazing how potentially the Book of Jubilees kind of proves to be very useful and accurate, that it's saying that we should find Chaldeans in the region of Cappadocia, and then now we find this kingdom, Calibes, the Chaldoi, in the territory of Chaldea, in the region of Cappadocia. So isn't that amazing? Now they do say here, it's unrelated to the Chaldeans, but I think we have to decide for ourselves what we think is true, and what looks correct and fair. And I'm saying from my point of view that just seems very similar to the Chaldeans. Now I also wanted to show you something that drew my attention, that looking in this Cappadocia, we're starting to move towards Cappadocia and Meshech, but I just want to read you this part that I picked out. Herodotus wrote that the name of the Cappadocians was applied to them by the Persians, while they were termed by the Greeks White Syrians. So this is something very interesting that we might have to come back to maybe in a later video if we get a chance. Who are these White Syrians? Now it's connecting them with the Cappadocians, and we know that Josephus is connecting Cappadocians with Meshech, but here we've got connection with the Hittites as well. But remember that the Greeks called the land of Aram Syria, so we still have to try to find out why did they call the land of Aram Syria. But I thought it was very interesting, these White Syrians, because I didn't draw your attention here. You can see we've got Tubal and this Surda in question mark. So I was just thinking about the Surda and then also seeing these White Syrians. And then in Spain I did see we have this territory here known as Soria. So I was just wondering if this could all be connected, these White Syrians, Surda, and then also having this Soria in Spain. But that would take a bit more investigation. So now we're speaking a lot about Cappadocia and also thinking about Meshech, and we do have this Mushki to look at. But first I just want to go back to Josephus, because he says that this Mazaka is connected potentially with Meshech. So there's MZ and the C potentially with the MS and the C here, and that's this Mazaka is connected with Cappadocia. And I just want to show you that I couldn't find Mazaka spelt with a Z, but I did find Masaka spelt with an S, and this is in Spain, Valencia territory. I just want to show you where that is. So it's here on the east of Spain, Valencia. So it's saying that the capital of Cappadocia was Mazaka, and we're looking for potentially Meshech in this area. Remember we spoke about the description from Jubilees, and the Cappadocians are connected with Meshech. And now we do have this option of Mazaka in Spain. So it can support potentially Cappadocia and also Meshech in this region. But, remember what we spoke about. Let's see if I can find my map. That they were drawing our attention here with this Cappadocia into Turkey. But now we're starting to find some bits of evidence to suggest Cappadocia could be in Spain. So it's really amazing, and obviously a bit of a surprise if you're hearing this for the first time, these details, but we're just looking at where the evidence takes us. But let's just see what we can look and find about this Mushki. Could this Mushki be connected to Meshech? Because there's another kingdom that's on the record, and there's a connection with Eastern Mushki and the Euphrates, and also Western Mushki. That's something to think about. But I just want to read this part here where it says that the Eastern Mushki may have moved into the land of Hatti, and we spoke about the land of Hatti and the Haitians with the Hittites after the collapse of the Hittite state. So maybe the Meshech, the descendants of Meshech, or these Mushki, helped complete the downfall of the Hittite state. So there's something to think about with this eastern and western branches. But I want to go to this creation wiki, because they sometimes have very interesting ideas. I don't agree with everything they say, but they do have some interesting ideas. And it says that Meshech may have migrated with Tubal up to the Black Sea and into the Russian plains. And you've got this connection with Meshech and Moshki, and connecting that with Moscow. And it does say the peoples of Meshech were described as being very cruel, the descendants of Meshech. So we do have this connection with Moscow and Russia, with potentially Tubal and Meshech to think about, in the Moskva River. It says here that it should be noted that the Finns of Russia are divided into two tribes, the Eres, and I'm not going to try to pronounce that, but they're connecting that with Meshech. And this connection with Georgia, the country of Georgia, and Tbilisi with Meshech. Let me just show you where that is. Okay, so we've got this country of Georgia to the south of Russia, and it's a city here called Tbilisi that they're connecting with Tubal. So this first part of the word, TBL, being connected with Tubal. So could descendants of Tubal be in this region and influencing these places called Tbilisi? But remember how the Bible speaks about these Meshech and Tubal being combined. So maybe they migrate together. Let's see what Creation Wiki says about Tubal, because there's some very interesting things in here as well. I just want to read you this part here. It says, once in southern Russia they became identified with the Muscovites. Okay, so this is connecting Tubal with Meshech and Meshech with Moscow. But it says also identified with the Sarmatians. And remember we were looking in the video about the Medes, what happened to the Medes? And we said if we follow the Sarmatians, we can find out maybe where the Medes were and where they went. And now we have this connection with the Sarmatians in Russia with Tubal and Meshech, and the land of Tartar, the Tartar region. So I just thought that was interesting how that came up with the Sarmatians being connected with Tubal. And like I said, I'm not sure if I agree with everything on here, but we're just trying to look to see what looks fair and what's true. But it's very, I want to read this part because this is the fascinating part with the Basques, the Basque region. We've been speaking about this quite a bit in our study. And it's saying that another branch of Tubal may be connected with the Basques in the border of Spain and France. And I want to read this part here from the Basque historian Esteban de Garibay. He says, he took up the notion already popular with the Spanish antiquarians that the Iberian Peninsula had been populated by the descendants of Tubal, one of the sons of Japheth, the sons of Noah. However, he gave this legend a distinctive twist in making the Basque regions the principal focus of Tubal's activity. Isn't that amazing that he uses that description as the principal focus? So that if we're looking for Tubal, and potentially this kingdom of Tubal that's on the record, we should maybe be looking in this region of Spain and France. So that's very, very amazing, because the book of Jubilees, this description is making us look in this region for Tubal, and now we have this Basque historian saying that this was the principal focus of this territory, potentially for the descendants of Tubal. So that's very amazing. He does also go say about these. He proved this thesis by claiming affinity between various Basque place names and those in the Bible that were associated with Armenia, where the ark had come to rest. And we spoke about Armenia and potentially this confusion with the word Aram, that Armenia might come from the word Aram. So it'd be very interesting to, maybe get people that live in this region to speak about this and, say if this is true with all these place names, and give us help in the study and see if what this Basque historian is saying is correct, because it seems to be fitting with the Jubilees and Josephus, and it does have these other connections with Tubal and Ottawa Indians, the Pacific Island, and the Philippines, and the Malay region, and New Guinea. I don't want to go into this in this video. I wanted to kind of stick with things that we can kind of prove and have evidence for, like these historical kingdoms like Tubal, and the historical kingdom, the Mushki, things that are a little bit more solid, and also that help with the picture that we're working on. And what I want to finish with is thinking about what we've been speaking, a bit of a summary, that we're looking at Tubal potentially in this region, but also this kingdom of Tubal, which is important, and also Meshech in this region of Spain, but the kingdom of the Mushki. Where were these kingdoms? We want to know where they were. So I thought, let me search for Tubal, and look what came up. Tubal, Spain, Navarra region. So let me show you this. So here's the Navarra region, and this is in that vicinity of the Basque community. So we have a place called Tubal. So then I thought, let me search for Muski, and there is a Muski in India, but we're focusing on this here. Look, Muski, Spain, the Basque country. So you can see how they're in close proximity, that we have a region called Muski and a region called Tubal in close proximity. Maybe this is what that the Basque historian was speaking about. And remember how the Bible said that we could expect to find Tubal and Meshech living in close proximity and maybe being entered into an alliance. And we've seen now on the historical record Tubal entering in an alliance with Mushki, potentially that being Meshech. And now we also see Tubal in northern Spain, but also Muski, in northern Spain. Isn't that amazing? Potentially supporting all this work that we've done and looked at in this video. So I hope you enjoyed this video on Tubal and Meshech and found it all very interesting. It helps the picture that we're working on and the study that we're working on, but it is obviously a different picture to the consensus and what we've been presented with the history that we maybe learnt in school and college. But we're just trying to see where the information takes us and looking for the truth, in all these things. In the next video we're going to be looking at the sons of Japheth, and see in the Bible it also speaks about Japheth being connected with Tubal and Meshech potentially. So we'll look at the sons of Japheth and see how that helps this picture, if it can strengthen this picture that we're working on. So thank you for watching this video, and we'll see you in the next one.